You packed in the morning, I stared out the window and I struggled for something to say. You left in the rain without closing the door. I didn't stand in your way. Now I missed you more than I missed you before, and now where I'll find comfort, God knows, 'cause you left me just when I needed you most. Now most every morning I stare out the window and I think about where you might be. I've written you letters that I'd like to send, if you would just send one to me. 'Cause I need you more than I needed before, and now where I'll find comfort, God knows. 'Cause you left me just when I needed you most. Now I miss you more than I missed you before, and now where I'll find comfort, God knows. 'Cause you left me just when I needed you most. You packed in the morning, I stared out the window and I struggled for something to say. You left in the rain without closing the door. I didn't stand in your way. Now I need you more than I needed before, and now where I'll find comfort, God knows. 'Cause you left me just when I needed you most. For you left me just when I needed you most.
The fabulous sounds of my first guest today, Lorraine Summers. Good afternoon, Lorraine.
Good afternoon. You're only saying that because it's true.
I know. I'll give you your full introduction. You are Lorraine Summers. You are a singer, first and foremost, and
Yes.
and a comedian
Oh, yes.
as
yes.
well. Now, it'd be fair to say that you've been doing this for a number of years.
Well, one or two, yes.
Just one or
yes,
two.
one or two, yes. I started when I was very young,
Uh-huh.
young. My mother bought me a guitar. I was about 14,
Right.
and I'd learned about 3 chords
Uh-huh.
and a couple of 3-chord songs. And at the time, the big thing in Scotland was the folk scene was just sort of taken off. So my brother was into all the folk singing, and I was learning 2 or 3 folk songs. And he persuaded my mother to take me to a folk club. And they got me up to sing, and I nearly died. Oh, I've never shook so much in my life. And I says, I can't sing, I haven't got my guitar. He's run back home and got my guitar.
That's reverberating all the way
Sorry.
through when you're
So I sang 2 or 3 songs, and after that I was like, every week I was at the folk club singing.
That first public performance is always the hardest one. But were you brought up in a musical family?
No.
No? Apart from your brother?
No, well, that's another interesting story, because I was actually adopted.
Right.
So my parents weren't musical. No, not at all. So I don't know who I've taken it from. Somebody.
But it just developed. So,
it just developed, yes.
So you went along every week, you were enjoying it,
And then people from other clubs came and asked me if I would sing in their club. And then I entered a competition, Meadowhead Hotel, 15. And it was folk singing, and I came second to a big group. I think they were called the Crofters from Edinburgh. Anyway, I came second, and quite a few people asked me if I would sing in their clubs. So that was where it started.
So that was how it started.
That was how it started.
Now that was back in the day when the clubs were really, really busy as well.
I'm awfully glad you never said the date.
I've not got my...
You don't.
Yes, for the benefit of the listeners, we've got slate and chalk here.
Yes, thank you.
Going
Thank
back
you.
all these years. No, but it was a really busy time and a vibrant
It was
time.
very busy.
And,
the clubs were mobbed.
And I suppose it really just took off for you then.
Oh, no, not really, because when you're 15, you're not really... I wasn't sure what I was doing, and not coming from a musical family, they weren't sure what to do, so it was just sort of locally and word of mouth until I was about 24, when I realised there was such a thing as agents.
Right.
I didn't know about agents. And somebody gave me a phone number, and I think it was in the day it was M&F. You mind of them? No, you're too young. You're too young. You're too young. Anyway, it was M&F, and I phoned them up, and 2 or 3 days later, they phoned back with all these bookings, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, for about 6 weeks. Every week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. Well, you were only getting about £5 or something.
Which might have been good money at that time.
It probably was. Probably. Yeah. And I played the guitar. So I used to stand and play the guitar, and the band played along with me. Or a lot of the weird clubs, I was just stand playing the guitar. There was no backing tracks or anything like that.
I mean, a lot of the people who did the clubs through that era, talk about going in, in fact, when I started as well, you were going in, it was the resident band, and you were going in and doing your thing with them.
Right.
And an absolutely great grounding for any act.
It was fabulous. Fabulous. I was really nervous when the backing tracks came out, because I was that used to a band sort of, if you weren't ready to come in, they would go round the intro again, and they waited for you to be ready. So, and it was like a wee cushion, and when that's away, nervous.
Well, that's it. I mean, I mean, bands can make mistakes as well.
They can. I used to always keep in my mind that if they were a really bad band, and there was a lot of them, but they were, they really were. But I always kept in my mind it was the same band for everybody. So if you were slightly better than everybody, you were still slightly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the audience were used to that band. That was their band. You couldn't slag the band.
Yeah.
That was their band.
That was the club band, yeah.
The club band. And I've heard a few horror stories of people slagging them and just dying a death.
Well, that's it.
Their friends were sitting in the audience, you know.
And they'll just do what they do.
I know.
And you'll have to try and follow them, which is a bit different from the band.
Oh no, I've had a
band following you.
I mind years ago singing. It was a Queen song. Used to do Radio Gaga, right? And the drummer was playing brushes. Brushes.
Not the most authentic song.
No.
Now you moved on, because you started off doing the folk stuff, and then you moved on, and you
I moved on, and I done country. Only because I was playing the guitar, and country was getting quite big at the time, so I done country for a while, and then just sort of mixed it. I used to do a tribute to Patsy Cline,
Yeah.
who was very popular at the time, and done that for a while. And then sort of done a sort of mixed show where I was doing a tribute to Cher, a tribute to Tina, Patsy Cline, and just sort of mixing it up. And then just basically done cabaret, where I done just a mixture of all styles. Also done a wartime show with the late Ben Gunn.
There's the name I've not heard for a wee while.
There you are.
And we played a track, and we're playing all the tracks from a CD that you did. Now,
Yes.
This was quite a popular CD in its time.
It was in its day, yes. That was it was Album of the Week in about 14 radio stations, mainly in the south of England. And I had to go round them all doing interviews because everybody loved this album. But it was distributed by Pie, and they couldn't buy it in the shops. They'd be better eating it because they couldn't buy it. But that was an experience. It was an experience.
There must have been at that point, because we were talking about off air, there must have been at that point, the point where you were thinking, how has this happened? Because you were saying that people were phoning into radio stations and saying, oh, I can't believe I'm talking to Lorraine.
I know.
And it must have been quite a strange experience for you at that time.
It was strange because I hadn't a clue. I just got the phone call from the record company saying, right, you're doing a tour of all these radio stations, and I wasn't really sure why. And then I got there and realised that everybody thought I was a star. I'm going, pardon? And people, they were phoning up, doing competitions, and it was my album that was the prize. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, a total culture shock, I
Oh,
suppose. For you,
it was. That was just a wee girl from Bathgate,
So how did that come about? How did the album come about? How did you get picked up for that?
I think I sent a demo tape to Clem Dane, who had something to do with a fella called Pete Shipton.
Yep.
Who used to be married to Valerie Dunbar.
Another name that I remember, yes.
Right. And Pete Shipton worked along with I forgot the boy's name. Anyway, it was Club Records in Glasgow. So they heard the demo tape and sent for me and said they wanted me to sign up. So I actually had a recording contract. So there you go.
There you go. Now we're
None
going
of your backing tracks here,
Oh, this was the full
That's
full
live.
Monty
Yes.
done live. We're going to play another song, which have been very carefully chosen for the playlist today by
My husband.
by your husband, yes. And we're going to play this one, and you've asked me to dedicate this to Kenny because this is I'll Never Fall in Love Again.
What do you get when you fall in love? A guy with a pen to burst your bubble. That's what you get for all your trouble. I'll never fall in love again. I'll never fall in love again. What do you get when you kiss a guy? You get enough germs to catch pneumonia. After you do, he'll never phone ya. I'll never fall in love again. I'll never fall in love again. Don't tell me what it's all about, 'cause I've been there and I'm glad I'm out of those chains that bind you. That is why I'm here to remind you. What do you get when you fall in love? You get enough tears to fill an ocean. That's what you get for your devotion. I'll never fall in love again. 'cause I've been there and I'm glad I'm out of those chains that bind you. That is why I'm here to remind you. What do you get when you fall in love? You only get lies and pain and sorrow. So far at least, until tomorrow, I'll never fall in love again. I'll never fall in love again. Love that runs away from me, dreams that just won't let me be, blues that keep on bothering me, chains that just won't set me free, too far away from you and all your charms, just out of reach of my two open arms. Each night in dreams I see your face, memories time cannot erase. Then I awake and find you gone. I'm so blue and all alone, too far away from lips so sweet and warm, just out of reach of my two open arms. That lonesome feeling all the time, knowing you cannot be mine, dreams that hurt me in my sleep, vows that we could never keep, too far away from lips so sweet and warm, just out of reach of my two open arms, just out of reach of my two open
The fabulous Lorraine Summers.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Good old easy listening.
Yes, it is. That was the purpose of that album.
The purpose of the album.
Album, yes.
Now, you've obviously, as we said in the first segment, you've done the club circuit and in theatres and various other
Yes.
things over the years, and
Yes.
you've worked with many greats, and
Yes.
obviously picked up a lot of stuff as you went along.
Yes.
But you made a transition into firstly comedy vocalist, and also doing the comedy the comedy circuit around the clubs as well. How did that transpire? How did that come about?
Well, I'd always done a bit of comedy, 2 or 3 wee gags, throwaway lines in between songs, just to lighten, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things like, here's a song from a last LP, the record company assures me it's going to be the last
Just
LP. Just wee stupid things just to lighten the mood. And then one week my husband said to me, who was an agent, right, said to me, I'm stuck for a comedian on Saturday night because a fella from Edinburgh called Gary Dennis had been booked for a club and he'd taken ill. Now, sadly, Gary Dennis actually died the following week.
Oh dear.
But we didn't know that at the time. And this club was insistent that they wanted a comic. So he said to me, he says, put all your comedy stuff together and we'll do a comedy spot, right? This was on a Tuesday. So I sat and I wrote every single joke that I could think of. And put them into some kind of order and wrote a rough script and just kept reading it and reading it and reading it and reading it and reading it. Went out Saturday night, I done 1 hour of comedy.
So thrown in at the deep end.
Yes, shaking like a leaf. And I was sitting next to my husband who had the wee script, and every time I kind of forgot, I'd sort of say, what's next? You know, and he'd say, you're in the supermarket or wherever, you know, and I would remember what I was doing, and I got through the hour and I took my bow, and the fella went, ladies and gentlemen, Lorraine Summers, and when I stood back up, half a dozen of the audience were standing.
There you go.
And I went, oh, and my husband went, I didn't think you'd be good at this. Because he'd done it in a panic just to get through that night, you know. And that was the first time I'd ever done it. I never thought of doing comedy before that, never.
And it's a totally different thing as well, you know, when because
you
singing to an audience and
Yes.
engaging an audience.
Well,
but
apart from that, Mark, as I got older, I started getting problems with my breathing, and I discovered that I had a large cyst on my thyroid, and they removed my thyroid, and it affected my voice a bit. So although I can still sing,
yeah,
I don't think I've got the voice that I had when I was young. Well, I know that happens anyway, but it just took the edge off my voice, so I'm not that confident. I like singing as long as they're up dancing.
Yeah.
And they're not just sitting looking at me, I get a wee bit nervous now. But that was the other reason, because I had this operation and just didn't feel the confidence with my voice anymore.
Now, look, I mean, a lot of people have said to you over the years and say to all different singers and acts, you know, oh, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you can just, you know, stand up in front of everybody and just take control of that situation. But in comedy, it's a must.
It is a must, but the fact that I sing as well is a bit of a cushion, because if you've really got a terrible audience, I usually turn to Hazard and say, put a song on. Get a song ready now, you know, and he'll go, no, you're all right. No, I'm not. Put a song on, you know, and I can get out of it by singing 2 or 3 songs, you know.
So what do you prefer? I mean, obviously, because you don't do as much singing now. What do you prefer, though?
I prefer comedy, to be honest with you. I really do. It's good when you've got a room full of people laughing at something that you've said.
Yeah.
It's quite a buzz. Quite a buzz.
Absolutely. I've only, funnily enough, you said that, I've been thrown in that situation once in my career, and it was a number of years ago, and the guy had booked me for a Wednesday night in January. I said, yeah, I'll do that, no problem. And about a week or so before it, he contacted me and said, oh, I forgot to tell you, it's my stag night. So I was like, yeah, okay, well, you know, so what do you sing to 40 guys?
I know.
And I did the same as you, but I opened my hands and said that it was pure plagiarism because I stole everybody's material.
I know.
You know, and went straight onto YouTube and just started getting everything and put it together, and I winged it and got away with it. But it's not something I would be entirely comfortable in doing.
No, but you can get away with, I wouldn't say stealing, but there was another comic, Clem Dane, said to me once, if you hear a joke you like, write it down and keep looking at it and keep looking at it. She says, and you'll get an idea how you can change that to make it your own. It's totally different from taking part of somebody's act and copying it completely. You know, change it round to your style and, you know, put your own idea in it. And occasionally when you're looking at it, you'll find a way where you can add another bit on just to make it a wee bit different, you know. So that's what I do now, I write everything down.
It was going to lead me on naturally onto a question about rehearsals and putting material together. Do you still find time to sit down and say, right, okay, I'm going to put this part together?
I do. I actually sit and I'll write it down. I'll look at it, I'll read it, I'll say, no, that bit should go in there, or this, and I'll change it round till I get it flowing, if you know what I mean,
Uh-huh.
so that it flows well.
Yeah.
And I just keep reading it and reading it and reading it and getting it into my head.
Now, there was a thing that we were talking about when you first came into the studio. We were talking about, you know, you do these shows and you do regular places. You know, in fact, we're doing a show together for the fourth time in the same venue.
Yes.
But the challenge is, I mean, you know,
I know.
a singer can go in and sing more or less the same songs and throw in some new material.
They don't shout at you, I've heard it before.
Yeah. So, I mean, that must be the challenge. That must be the challenge
It
in
is.
comedy is finding that new material.
It is.
Where do you find your material? Do you just, or do you use real life experiences as well?
Sometimes people tell me them. Sometimes I hear something on the radio.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll hear things on YouTube. Sometimes the children say things and you think, oh, yeah, that's funny. Or just everyday life, and I'll just take a note and just work on it. Just work on it. It's very hard. It's totally different from a stand up like and the stand.
Yeah.
It's totally different. I would say I'm not so much a comedian as I tell jokes. It's totally different, isn't it?
You do tell jokes, but you also work off the crowd as well, and situational
Aye.
comedy as well.
I think everybody does. Everybody does. Aye.
Yeah, everybody should beware.
Well, you do as well. I've heard you.
I know.
Oh, I remember you said
Just
something
pick
to a
on
woman
people.
in Bathgate.
Oh,
Something about turning round. No, don't turn round, Hen. You better look for the back.
that's now on air. That's now on record.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that now.
But insulting people, that's funny. It is. You don't think so?
It certainly is. I'm going to play another one of your songs now. I'm going to play. You asked me to play this one, which is called "Come to Me."
Yes.
And you want me to play it. Tell me a wee bit about this song.
Well, the album was called "Come to Me," and this is a song that I wrote myself.
Is it really?
Yes.
Ooh.
It's titled,
Oh, come to me with arms wide open. Close the door and I'll ease you away. Don't say a word that'll bring on the teardrops. Just come to me and we'll start all over again. She's gone and left you once too often, and you're tired of sleepless nights, and your heart can't stand being broken again and again. But I'm here and I'm still waiting for the brighter day to dawn, for the day when she's finally gone. And come to me with arms wide open. Close the door and I'll ease you away. Don't say a word that'll bring on the teardrops. Just come to me and we'll start all over again. I've had some lovers in my lifetime, but none were quite like you. And I prayed you'd come back to me someday and never stray. And that day's been drawing nearer. I could see it in your eyes. So now tell all the misery goodbye and come to me if I love you, and I choke on my reply. I'd rather hurt you honestly than mislead you with a lie. And who am I to judge you in what you say or do? I'm only just beginning to see the real you. And sometimes when we touch, the honesty's too much, and I have to close my eyes and hide. I wanna hold you till I die, till we both break down and cry. I wanna hold you till the fear in me subsides. Romance without strategy leaves me battling with my pride. And through the insecurity, some tenderness survives. I'm just another rider, still trapped within my truths. A hesitant prize fighter, still trapped within my youth. And sometimes when we touch, the honesty's too much, and I have to close my eyes and hide. I wanna hold you till I die, till we both break down and cry. I wanna hold you till the fear in me subsides. At times I'd like to break you and drive you to your knees. At times I'd like to break through and hold you endlessly. And sometimes when we touch, the honesty's too much, and I have